They're bragging big time that Deadpool and Wolverine made a staggering $400 million in profit from the box office and beyond in 2024. But folks, don't open the door to a Disney comeback just yet, for they might want to fret. It appears that Snow White combined with Captain America Brave New World threw all the profits away, and they might actually negate everything from the prior year with how badly the movies today are doing. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Pro Channel, where we continue to bring you the truth with a capital T, served hot, fresh, daily, 4 times a day on a silver platter. And get ready, folks, because we are climbing the ladder towards understanding what in the world is going on with Disney as they sacrifice all the profits from 2024 at the box office for their latest ideological disasters. Click the like button. Let's get underway right now. Deadpool and Wolverine, Disney's first R-rated MCU title, claws way to $400 million profit, and number 3 on 2024's most valuable blockbuster list. Hang tight, we'll tell you why things are not all right at Disney in spite of the good news. It says the best catalyst for box office, in this case for raunchy balls-to-the-wall comedy, is absence, making the heart grow fonder, and Disney, in its inheritance of 20th Century Fox's portion of Marvel, was unabashed in letting Deadpool do his thing. While the strikes disrupted the shoot on the MCU movie, delaying its launch to late July, it didn't hamper grosses one bit. Deadpool and Wolverine saw the biggest opening for R-rated movie stateside ahead of 2016's Deadpool. And guess what, folks? The bottom line, this thing made a ton of money. It made a ton of money. Total revenues adding up to $980 million. And the bottom line, they say, is that the film's $200 million production budget was absolutely dwarfed by the revenue that it brought in. How much? Well, they're saying that it brought in about $400 million. There's just one very sad thing about this. Gentlemen, this means that Snow White, Rachel Zegler's movie from this year, has wiped out the profit of Deadpool and Wolverine. So while I am celebratory for Deadpool and Wolverine and for Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman and what they did, by the way, they made fun of Marvel, and that seems to work. Well, Snow White and Rachel Zegler essentially leveled it all back out. The negative, taking the positive to zero, is what we believe. Jonas, let me get you in on this. Rachel Zegler all alone may have completely taken out the profit of Deadpool and Wolverine. I don't think enough is being said about this, but even more so, perhaps we should accurately say that it is now looking like the first half of 2025 may have wiped out all the profits from 2024 from the box office for Disney, including Inside Out 2. What say you, Jonas?
I mean, it's really an amazing thing, and a lot of people don't understand this. And I've said this many times on this channel, but I'll repeat it one more time. And again, when asked, Disney does not make money off of movies. They have almost never made money at the box office off of their movies. They're essentially, especially at this point, when they are very focused on franchise films and films with franchise potential, the only thing that they are wanting is a merchandising opportunity and to drive people into the theme parks. The thing that they have added onto that is Disney Plus, which is also not profitable. So doubling down on unprofitable ventures that are trying to make money elsewhere. So maybe they made a little bit of money off of Deadpool and Wolverine. They could have made more with a little bit of restraint, but whatever. You know, I'm not going to harsh them on that. There are some things that are loss leaders for your company, and movies are a loss leader for their company. Lion King, I think, was number 9 in the tournament of blockbusters or whatever it was recently. I think Tom Connors is in the chat talking about that. These are films that they want the movie to be successful more than they want it to be profitable. And they want it to be woke and diverse and inclusive of all the company's virtues and all of those things. And profit is number 4 or 5 on the list of priorities for the company. They do not care if they make money. They need them to give the impression to the world that they make money. Why? Because they want shareholders to think that the company is making money. They would move the stock price before they would actually deliver value to the shareholders. That's why you get things like $50 million or whatever it was to pay for Taylor Swift to get, I don't know, 3 views on the Taylor Swift Eras tour on Disney Plus. That's why you get the announcement of streaming services that will never happen, like Venue Sports. The entire its motion to try to convey to their audience that they are a profitable company, when really the movies are a money pit at this point. Doomsday will be the most expensive film ever made. I have no doubt about it whatsoever, possibly beaten by Secret Wars. But Rachel Ziegler's Snow White, they say $300 million loss. I think it's going to be more than that when it comes down to it.
I do too. And, you know, when you look at Captain America Brave New World and how much it lost, and now, despite what the reviews are saying, I'm very worried about Thunderbolts. Very worried about it. We'll show why a little bit later. But I think that Disney is in big time trouble here. Lilo and Stitch may not be able to drag them into profitability for the entire first 9 months of 2025. They may be in the hole. They may depend on Zootopia 2 and Avatar to try to give them a profit rather than a loss for the box office for the year. Ron, am I reading this incorrectly, or do you agree? Is this actually a sign? Because Deadpool and Wolverine took on the cultural position of sort of attacking modern Marvel.
Well, it even gets worse than that when you think about the fact that they tried to align the television show, the new Daredevil Born Again series, along with Deadpool and Wolverine, and that failed. It did not reach an audience. So you've got Deadpool and Wolverine was an anomaly, I think, mostly because of it was Fox. It was a love letter send off to the Fox properties, and it needed that button up. And and then what they've done to the box office since then, it's just so bad. I haven't seen anything like this in ages from Disney. Rachel Ziegler alone and everything that they did with Snow White, I feel like the loss on that is probably over $500 million. And they've got other losses stacking up with Captain America Brave New World. It's going to be a loss. Thunderbolts is going to be a loss. You're right about Lilo and Stitch. It might make some money, but it's not going to bring them back up to profitability. There's no way. And they are neglecting in a big way, or not even neglecting. Neglecting is not the right word. It's almost abusing. They're abusing their big moneymaker, and that is their parks. They're taking everything away from the parks that people love and putting in things that they don't. And that's where this company is. They're just losing their minds. I don't know who's in charge, but it's basically the antithesis of anything that Walt would have done, is what I see.
And just to add to this, it's not just Snow White that's lost. Mark, they had the answer. They had the roadmap laid out before them with Deadpool and Wolverine, and they scrubbed all the offensive stuff out of Inside Out 2, and they made a lot of money off of that. Captain America Brave New World, they decided to change the iconography. They tried to sub out the lead character, and that didn't go well. So you add this up, just talking about the box office and the bad decisions, the bad cultural decisions of Disney, $250 million loss is estimated, this article out of IMDb, $250 million loss out of Captain America Brave New World, $300 million loss for Snow White. You now have over $500 million in losses in the first few months of 2025, and we're not yet to Thunderbolts. Mark, what's going on? What went wrong with the decisions by Disney culturally?
Well, you got a couple things going on here. And I said it earlier in the stream, I'll say it again, Globo Homo. Disney has turned into a Globo Homo corporation, and we can argue about what the homo means. It comes from homogenization. Now, we talked about the polling before. Disney used to have a high favorability rating. It's been eroding the last couple of times we tested it. It was under 50%, which means that Walt Disney, as a brand that's supposed to market to everybody, is less popular than Donald Trump, and puts it somewhere kind of like in the Joe Biden range, to be honest with you. And the demographics that you'd want to see really high numbers with, like parents or married people, like not that great. And so the problem, I think, is that they've lost their cultural relevancy, and they've been trying to make it up with massive tentpole movies that aren't very good. And then they try and gaslight you so that they can pump the stock market, and they can play their little political games, and they can try and convince people that they're a success. But what they're really doing is just this really stupid business model. Every single movie's a tentpole, and there's no thought or effort into making it like high quality. And that's not how they've been running stuff. Like, if you're going to do this stuff, you have to like weigh risks and make calculated decisions about ROI. They weren't pumping hundreds of millions of dollars into the 90s animated movies and praying that they'll succeed or hoping that they'll use access journalism to gaslight people into going to see it. They're trying to make a good movie, and then people loved it because it was good, and that built the cultural zeitgeist. So until they can figure that out, it's just arrogance. They would rather work the system. They would rather use their connections in Wall Street to get an upgrade on the stock. They would rather, use the access journalism and just like it's the same model. Piss on America and tell them it's raining, and it's people are done with it.
Mark, did you see the live action Snow White? Since we're on that subject,
no. I've seen. You know what? I saw the live action Pinocchio, and that was like stabbing myself in the eyes with broken glass. So I assumed that this would be worse, and I refused to put my family through that.
Oh no! Me and my wife went to go see it, and it was a laugh riot. We tried. It was even more funny because we were trying to stifle our laughter for the cause of two kids that were there in the theater. But this movie is again back to the same thing that they were doing with Andor. This movie starts out with it was a kingdom where every worker deserved the fruits of his labor. Had a right to the fruits of his labor.
Oh no, man!
Yeah,
what are they doing?
Exactly,
communist LARPers.
Exactly,
but they had the roadmap. They had the roadmap. Deadpool and Wolverine is not woke. They had the roadmap. Like, they had one season of success in 2024. They threw it away. Marvin, I think they're ashamed of Deadpool and Wolverine. I think they actually hate the film.
I think so too, because it wasn't made, the film was made by them, but it's banking on nostalgia that they had nothing to do with. And specifically, Feige had something to do with the very early X-Men stuff, but not the the Deadpool stuff. And that is something Kevin Feige does not like. Anything that Kevin Feige did not create. It's crass. And it comes at a time when the Eternals were bombed, the Marvels bombed. She-Hulk was a disaster. She-Hulk, I think, is the sticking point on this one for a lot of people, because people like to believe that just because both characters break the fourth wall, that they should be accepted equally. Well, it's like, no, the writing is different. The action is different. The story is different. Everything is different. So yeah, what you're seeing here, and this is where I go insane with a lot of these earnings calls and stuff like that, because Bob Iger will stand up there and be like, well, we made $400 million on Deadpool, but then he won't say, and then we immediately lost it on Snow White, because it's eating up those profits. Those profits are not going into shareholder pockets. Those profits are going into Rachel Zegler's pocket and everywhere, every vendor that worked on that film. It's deceptive. And, people need to look at stuff like this. People need to realize that even when people talk about how much money they make, there is this thing called profit margin. And that is the important thing. People are always like, why do you care so much about box office? Why do you care so much about ratings? This is why. Because the success of something determines whether it continues to happen. Period. End. You like something and it has to make money.
Yep.
They hate Deadpool and Wolverine too because the chuds liked it. I guarantee you they hate it because of that.
Yep, the wrong people like Deadpool and Wolverine also. Yeah, like they don't like when they make money because the audience they don't like something. Again, it's the Joker situation.
I say it also highlights their failure. They have scrambled for the better part of a few years to tell you that, hey, we have the new thing you're going to like. And they've been rejected, without question. And like I said, we had to open up the nostalgia box, cobble together a movie that really Feige had not too much to do with, and it did gangbusters. And we immediately followed up with a couple of duds. So. Go ahead, Ron.
I was gonna say, Kev. What are the three things that have succeeded? The movie that banked on Sony nostalgia, the movie that banked on Fox nostalgia, and the movie that was made by the guy they fired and were forced to hire back that is now going to DC.
Yep. So it's indicative of the major problem that they just refuse to fix. Listen, you guys all know where I stand on Kevin Feige. He's the guy who showed up and took all the credit for doing absolutely nothing when the guys who did all the work got shown the door. and he's been exposed for a while. But you see the Feige problem is prevalent throughout the entirety of Disney. Whether it's Kennedy or whether it's Iger himself, you see these small little micro problems that all lead to the same creatively bankrupt door.
Even in the parks, Jazz Tomorrow, same thing. It's the whole like right down the line throughout the entire company. It's the wrong people in the wrong positions who want to. Everything is for themselves and their bubble, and not for customers, not for people that will pay for your product.
You know, it's always sad when one of these video ends, and yet it is the beginning of the wait for the next one to land. 4 times a day right here on the Pro Channel. And by the way, there's plenty more on our partner channels, That Park Place, That Pod Place, That Game Place, and go check out the original music we have on stations like Vacation Radio. We'd love to have you, love to entertain you. At least we'll do a better job than some of the current entertainment companies. Folks, like, share, subscribe, and you know what? Drop a comment right on down below. Share this out anywhere you go on social media. And until the next time, we have the honor, the pleasure of getting to spend time with you when you choose to invite us into your day to add the value that we hope to bring your way. We ask that you keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.
Hey, Floral, guess what?
You put a fork in Pro's microwave again.
No, that was yesterday.
I don't know that what.
Oh, I've decided to give up on torturing Jonas.
What? Why? In the same way the cat sleeps like 20 hours a day, that was like your purpose.
I know, but I've decided there's bigger fish to fry.
Okay.
Like Lorne. I mean, think about it. Everybody loves him. He's a fan favorite, and frankly, he has almost no weaknesses I can find. Except that he's really smart.
So, you want to annoy the one panelist without a single flaw, because he's smart.
Yeah, like that winged statue at that fancy Paris museum thingy. I want to break the one thing that everyone loves most.
Right. So, kind of like the opposite of Rachel Zegler.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, I get to see her all the time at family reunions anyway.
You get to see Rachel Zegler?
Yeah. She's a total troll. Lives under a bridge, harasses billy goats, the whole 9 yards.
It all makes sense now.
Speaking of which, maybe she'll get me... Okay, I'm gonna call her on my... I'm gonna call her and see if she'll be in the next Indiana Jones. She should be the next Indiana Jones. That'll totally destroy Lord. He loves Indiana Jones.
Oh, that's cruel.
Hey, Rach. I've got a cool idea for you that involves a whip and snakes.
I love that description. It's perfect.
I know, right? Weird, as we always say.